Greetings, visionaries. This is your host, the INFJ Visionary. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about artistry, creating artwork in the modern era, which is just now starting. We're actually not really in an era, we're in an in-between place between the world that was and the world that will be. And it's pretty interesting, I'd say, for our generations in this time, because up to now everything's been pretty much the same. You would have, starting with the 20th century, you start to get a lot of technology involved with the creating of artwork, and but I'm fortunate enough, being quite an aged dragon, that I was around before technology had much of an impact at all, other than, and significantly so, the camera. The camera was a big one. Prior to the invention of the camera, we had something called the camera obscura, which artists would secretly use, and that would take an image and project it onto a surface. And people like Vermeer used this, several other artists whose names I can't think of right now, but that was an early use of technology to create art. But even having a camera obscura, if you were going to try and make some sort of very realistic looking painting, you would need a heck of a lot of skills. And that kind of brings me to what I was going to talk about. So for our generations, the old ones, we will often associate skills with creativity and artistry, because if you don't have skills and you attempt to express yourself artistically, what you produce is invariably crude, and very few people will be interested in it. Now, there are exceptions to this. You have the primitivists and the folk artists and things, but even those people, they just weren't trained like in a proper way. But a lot of them, if we know of their work, and it's this primitivist work, if we know of it, it's because they did a heck of a lot of it. So anything you do a lot of, you'll develop a set of skills, even if it's in a lane that isn't maybe mainstream. Yeah. All right, well, here we are. Now we've got the AI that can crank out art just with the prompt. And where does that put humanity? Because there was a video, I don't know if you've heard of Rick Beato. He has a music channel, and he was talking down the AI big time. He hates it, and he hates how AI artists are being promoted on Spotify and things like that. And that's a legitimate concern. I mean, I have actually made lots of music. I used to have it on Spotify. It might even still be on Spotify, but I ceased caring after a while, because this is prior to the AI era. People could make music. I've been making music solidly for 20 years or so, or longer, really. And the one great truth about that was that nobody actually cares. Sometimes people would. If you get involved with a community, and people will check your music out. I've had amazing feedback on things I produced, and I feel fortunate for that. Anyway, Rick was very upset as these AI artists were being promoted. And what is an AI artist? It's like not even it's a contradiction, because the AI doesn't actually produce art. Now, this image we're looking at is generated from a prompt, and it's a beautiful image. It's amazing. Is it art? Well, here's where we're going to get into some definitions. I think and this is not from Rick Beato, this is from another music channel, and that is Andy Edwards, and he had a really good response video to Rick, who was angry at the AI, and Andy's feelings is he doesn't care. And I believe that is the best strategy going forward. Don't care about what the AI is up to, what the AI can do. If you want to make some art or music or writing, then just start doing it. And if you want to collaborate with the AIs, then here's an idea that Andy laid out that I think is going to be very helpful to humans as we march into this new future, right? And that idea is, an artist is an artist because they have an idea. Okay, not you could have all the skills in the world. In fact, we know of a lot of musicians. They can play 1,000 notes a second. They're extremely facile with their instruments. But can they write a song? Nah, not a good one in a lot of cases. Whereas I can tell you I can barely play an instrument, but I've written hundreds and hundreds of songs, many of which are very good. Because for me, when I came to any instrument, I would naturally just start creating stuff with it. And that's what it means to be a creative human being. It means what it means to be a creative person. You start messing around, you get an idea, and you go, yeah, this could be this, or this could be that. And then you make your art. Now, one great thing about the AI is that it's going to eventually be removing a lot of the drudgery from our existences. Many of you and myself in the past have had jobs that were just, you know, I had a job once where there was a conveyor belt going by with boxes that had holes in them, and my job was to stick the appropriate size bottle in the appropriate size hole, and that was all day long. Fortunately, it was a temp type job. I was a Kelly girl. If you know what that is, you can leave a note in the comments. I wasn't for very long, but that was, and they loved my work. They thought I was amazing because I've always worked hard. And I worked hard there, and they actually offered me a full-time job. And do you know what I said? I said, no, thank you, because I'm doing a job that a robot could do. I don't want to do that. That's soul killing. It's soul destroying. I've had more than a few jobs like that when I was younger. And, if you are a human being engaged with a job where you're doing an impression of being a machine, that has been, since the Industrial Revolution, how things have been. But it's an unnatural state. Even really, if you're thinking about farming and stuff, a lot of that work is mechanical and boring, and that's why we're happy to leave it to the few people that want to be farmers, and they use all their powerful equipment to maximize their efforts and labors, and grow all the food that we need for the rest of us to eat, and that's just fine. And some of us like messing around in the garden and doing things, and that's brings me to another idea, and that was, I think, old Elon Musk. I'm not a huge fan, but I don't hate him either. But he was saying that in the future, work will be like buying vegetables is now. You can either go to the grocery store and get your vegetables, or you can grow them yourself. It's your choice. And that's how work will be. You can either work if you want to, or if you don't want to, you can do something else. You can sit around and paint, or learn how to play guitar, or write songs, or write books, or do anything that you might want. You can work on your personal philosophy, right? There'll be any number of things as we come out of this transitionary period of time. Now, how long that'll be, and to what extent we're going to have to modify and adapt, and how quickly, I don't know. That's what no one knows. Because the fact of the matter is that sometimes I do think that the AI has or exhibits consciousness. But then again, on the other hand, it could be more of a super advanced word prediction engine. It's very hard for us to be able to discern this, because there's really not an actual definition of what consciousness is, for one. And for two, we tend to anthropomorphize things. If you've ever seen that movie with, I think it was Tom Hanks, where he's Castaway, I believe is the name of the movie. Hey, he's the only guy on that island. He's going kind of crazy. He finds a ball, and he calls it Wilson. That's the ball. That's the maker of the ball. And he has a whole relationship with Wilson in that movie. It's a genuine relationship. That's what humans can do. We can bring all the consciousness necessary to the party, whatever that party is. Anyway, that was some thoughts I wanted to get down, and maybe you got some insight. Maybe you'll come back in a couple more days, and we'll chat some more. Until that time, my fellow INFJ visionaries, do me a favor. Please keep on keeping on.